Thank you.
So again, I'm over. Thankful to be here. Appreciate the invitation. And I thought what I would do this morning is just for those that don't know so much about the center, is talk to you about the Center for Native Health, and just some of the work that we're doing. I've been the executive director since I guess the end of 2019. I was on the board starting in 2015. And when I first became executive director, they asked me, and I was like, man, I already have a full-time job. But I was really engaged by the work that I thought we could be doing in the community. As Landon knows, my heart and passion is in the community-based work. So anyways, that's kind of the story I wanted to share with you all. So if you have questions or whatever, just let me know. This is our logo. And this image was designed by a couple of different people, one of them being Tom Belt, who's an elder in the community. I've heard it described as the pottery stamp. For us, I think probably it's a pottery stamp of water. And if you look at the river and the counterclockwise circles that the river makes in certain spots, that signifies to us places of good medicine. It's places for us to go to water. And a lot of Cherokee people still go to water. I live by water. I haven't not lived by water now for almost 15 years. I don't know that I ever will not live by water. So that's what our logo is. Again, I'm just a little bit about myself. I'm a Cherokee Nation citizen. I'm sure a lot of people in this room already know that. There are 3 federally recognized Cherokee tribes. My family is part of the removal. So my mom, my grandparents, my great-grandparents are all from eastern Oklahoma. And what we call the reservation out there, but it's a 15-county jurisdiction. We're the largest of the 3. I think our population now is about 400,000. There's some good and not so good things about that, but regardless, we're the largest. Obviously I have the Eastern Band, which most people in this room know about. Then there is a third one, which is the United Gadua Band. They're the smallest. They're maybe 5,000. And really, they are the descendants of Cherokee people who saw that removal was going to happen and left early. So most people think about the Trail of Tears, there's just one removal. For Cherokee people, we moved in waves. And the forced removal was a part of that. Anytime I talk about this, I always get an Eastern Band member who tells me, make sure you tell them that we never left. And so the Eastern Band folks are people that never left through various means. They either bought property, had to buy some of that property 3 different times. Some of them lived in hidden caves. Some of them were very political and took citizenship rights with the state and sort of waited it out. There are also people that were taken to Oklahoma and walked back. And a really well-known one was one of the Wachacha brothers, were the descendants of the Snowbird Cherokee over in Grant County. Was blind, could not see, was taken to Oklahoma and made his way back.
Wow.
So that sort of sense of spirit and resistance is a part of the Eastern Band community. Again, I taught at UNC Asheville for 14 years. When I got to campus in 2012, there had been Cherokee people that had been on campus, but at that time we didn't have any students and we had no curriculum. So the better part of 14 years, that's what I did, is work with students and their families to get kids to graduate. And in 2018, that fall, we had 23 Eastern Band students enrolled. And I know that's a huge number, but for us, that's a big number. That's a lot of work. And the university was really behind it, and then obviously the political winds changed. And so I ended up leaving. And now I'm at the Center for Native Health as executive director. We are native led, native controlled, and community driven. And what that means is that is really, really rare in the nonprofit world for native nonprofits. A lot of times it's majority non-native with the native mission maybe. Our board, when I inhabited, was about, I don't know, 50-50. But now we have 100% native representation on our board, and our staff is, I think, 90% native. And one of the things we've tried to do is become really diverse in our tribal representation. So now we have Chickasaw, we have Choctaw, we have Benee, which is Navajo, we have Cherokee Nation, we have Eastern Band, all represented on our board. But again, there's 577 federally recognized tribes. It's really diverse. And so we wanted a diversity of perspective in our board. Founded in 2009, so last year we celebrated our 15th anniversary. So we've been around for a while. We've kind of grown a lot in the last 5 or 6 years. Our mission, and I won't read all this word for word, but we just went through a revisioning of our mission in our vision statement. It's an important thing about us now is we support all Southeastern Native communities. Because when I first started, I was like, is this the Eastern Band Cherokee Indian Center for Native Health? Or is this the Center for Native Health, meaning all Native populations? And so we made a decision to serve all Native populations. And one of the things that we've really done is worked with a lot of indigenous populations in Western North Carolina. Especially a lot of Latinx populations whose Spanish is a second language. So we're trying to develop those relationships and partnerships. And to be honest, we have to educate a lot of people in Cherokee about that. A lot of people in Cherokee are like, we should only be working with Cherokees, at least some of our board members. So it's not so easy to say we're going to work with anyone. But we're really trying, and I think it's an important part of our mission now. We serve all the Southeastern Native communities. So this is our board. Again, everybody lives and serves in the communities that we're trying to work with. Tom Belt is in the top left. If you get a chance to go on YouTube and listen to any of Tom's talks, he's a Cherokee Nation guy, but he's been over here for 25 years. He's an amazing speaker. He basically is fluent in multiple dialects of the language, which is very rare. He's our cultural advisor. That's his wife on the right. Ashford Smith is in the top middle. He's the CFO for the Cherokee Preservation Foundation. He was the manager for the University of Tennessee football team. 2 years. We still put him on. Onita Bush is an elder from the Snowbird community. She's second row on the left. Fluent speaker, comes from a big Cherokee family. Manuel's middle of the second row. He works for the Public Health and Human Services. Caleb's no longer on our board, but he was for a while, and he was the tribe's biologist. Tara McCoy is on the third row. She is a master potter, and she runs the adult leadership programs. Tara is an amazing human being, and if you ever get to check out any of her artwork, pretty profound. Kelly Murphy is in the middle of the third row from the top. She's a really, really strong second language learner, mom of 2 kids, and ceremonially in Cherokee, she's one of the head women. So nothing really can happen without Kelly being a part of the decision-making process. So she's really important that she's on the board. Katie Tiger, she's Choctaw. She has worked for the tribe for 19 years. She just stepped up to a staff position. She's really interested in climate change. Bottom row is Brett Treadway on the left. We just hired him to be the first director of the RT CAR program, which is Revitalizing Traditional Cherokee Artists and Resources program. And I'll talk about that in a little bit. He's the first Eastern Bay member to hold that title in 20 years. They've never had an Eastern Bay member run that program. Dr. Blythe Winchester is the middle on the last row from the top. She's a medical doctor, graduated from UNC Chapel Hills Medical School, doctor at the Cherokee Union Hospital. Really great person. And then the bottom right is Chanel Feather. She's Navajo, Danae. She just got elected to tribal council along with 3 other women. So if you follow tribal politics at all for the last few years, it's been an all male council. They just had 4 women elected. Which is really important. And Chanel was one of those. So that's our board members. These are our 4 program areas. The first is Weaving Indigenous Pathways, which Katie runs. And that is basically intergenerational knowledge. I'll talk more about this. Relational health. Christina Hyatt runs that program. She's from the Big Cove community, which is one of the more conservative Cherokee communities. She went to UNC Asheville. So when I got to UNC Asheville, she was one of the first people I called. She was Miss Native America in 2015, which is not a beauty contest, it's a cultural contest. And through that platform, her platform is dental hygiene care. And so she's kind of known as Miss Native Tooth Fairy. She travels all over Indian country giving talks to communities about the importance of dental hygiene. Like I said, Brett's in charge of language, art, and healing, and then Bonnie Claxton, who is Chickasaw, is our deputy director and runs land and wellness. So those are kind of our 4 program areas. And again, when I inherited the center, we've kind of built all of this in the last 5 or 6 years. Sort of at the heart of our work is this framework. And this comes from Tom Belt and I talking. I asked him for a long time as a young Cherokee person. I guess I'm not young anymore, but younger Cherokee person. What is ceremony to us? So if you know anything about Southwestern Native communities, we are stomp communities. Historically, obviously Christianity came in, and even like 15 years ago when they did a poll of Cherokee society, 92% of Cherokees said that they were Christian of some denomination, most being Baptist and Methodist. My mom is a Baptist. But in the last, I would say 15 to 20 years, there's been a lot of effort to rebuild our ceremonial life. And this is what he said to me. He said, ceremony is when you have the right people at the right place at the right time and for the right reasons. And, the more I thought about that, all of our programs, the people that we work with, the programs that we support, if any of those conditions have been missing, it doesn't work. It just does not work. We've had programs that have come up and it feels like the right time. I think people are at the table for the right reasons. It's in Cherokee, so it feels like the right place. But we did not have the right people and it fell apart. So that's kind of how we build our relationships. And I think with you all, I think we're meeting a lot of these conditions, which is why it's working. So this is relational health. This is Christina. This is her youngest baby. Again, Christina is just a beautiful human being. I wish she could be here. The program I just want to talk to you all about a little bit, because this is where a lot of our resources are going. So when y'all contribute to the center, this is where we're putting a lot of our time and effort. And this is Dini Ne Ladi Dinishte Lankido, those who care for the pregnant ones. So when I first became executive director, well, I'll even say going back to when I was a board member all the way to 2015, I kept hearing about the desire to create and recreate our birthing ceremonies. We just lost that. And currently, no Cherokee baby can be born on Cherokee land.
Even with a home birth?
You cannot have home births. All of the babies that are born, they're shipped out basically to Silva and Harris Regional. Some come to Asheville. but you can't have a baby at the Cherokee Indian Hospital. There's no maternity ward. There's no home births. And
Why is that?
well, I think in a practical sense, insurance reasons at the hospital. There used to be a maternity ward, but they have built a brand new hospital. They did not include a maternity ward. And even if so, those births would be happening in a very Western way.
Right.
So we had some elders who were like, man, this is my life mission, is to help us restart this. So about 4 years ago, we had some people that were trying. Again, it goes back to the framework. We just did not have the right people and the right combination. And so we ended up having to walk away from that project. But Christina came on and agreed to take on the challenge. And so we've got some grant money. I feel like we've met the conditions. And part of saying that is this work is not just secular for us, it's very spiritually based. And, just happy to report that this year we trained 12 Cherokee women to be doulas. And what we're trying to do is create culturally fluent doulas. So women that know our plants, that know songs, that know how to use those plants, generally speaking, that are really firm and grounded in the culture. Because we believe we're a cultural based organization. We believe that when a kid is born, they need to be born inside the culture. All of the health disparities that we face will at least be minimized if they have a cultural basis. Tom would tell you that they will know who they are. Because when kids don't know who they are, they search for other things. So we're trying to kind of challenge that. And so we trained 12 Cherokee women. And we have now 3 active doulas working, delivering babies. And so as of right now, we've delivered 5 babies. 5 babies.
And the Cherokee
Community.
reservation?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Are there midwives coming in as well?
Do we have midwives coming
Yeah.
in? There are midwives that we work with that are associated with Harris. We don't have Cherokee midwives. So we are partnered with a really well-known Mohawk midwife. Her name is Gudgie Cook. Yeah. So Gudgie is sort of mentoring us in this. And so we asked her, should we worry about developing midwives? She said, let's just start with the doulas.
Yeah.
So right now, we're just trying to build cohorts of doulas. So right now, donations that are coming into us, we're trying to buy baby supplies. Our doulas we're trying to send to professional development. Because one of the things we're all learning together. I don't have any background. I'm a doctor, but not really the useful kind. I can't do anything. So we're learning as we go. So we've already had some births that were really traumatic. And so we have a doula that wants to get grief and trauma professional development. Lactation consultants. So we're really trying to well equip our doulas to go out into the world with Cherokee moms. On top of that, we're partnering with elders to learn plants and plant medicine. And one of the challenges before us is we might have forgotten our birthing ceremonies, but how do we go about creating new ones? Which is a hard sell in Cherokee. People struggle with that concept. But this is the project that, we even have someone on our board. If you know anything about the history of forced sterilization for Native women, that's recent memory too, all the way into the early 90s. We have someone on our board whose mom went in for medical care, just routine medical care, and they used it as an opportunity to force sterilize her. And that's really recent memory, So the fact that we're delivering babies, Cherokee babies by Cherokee doulas, that's a significant development, for us. So that's really where a lot of our time and effort is going right now. We've been holding like monthly moms gatherings and doula gatherings. And each time we do sort of a workshop style, or we have someone come in and teach them new skills, whether it's how to have a baby, how how to build cradle boards. Do y'all know what bull nettle is?
No.
How do you describe bull nettle?
The plant?
Yeah,
Yeah, it's a plant that grows usually kind of around wetlands. It's got big leaves and it's kind of, got little hairs all over it, right?
bull nettle. Bull nettle. It's a plant. A lot of people think it's a weed,
Yeah.
and so they'll pull it. But you can, if you dig it below its root, you can slice it in little pieces and make teething rings out of it. So we bought an elder in who we had all this bull nettle growing in our garden, and we harvested it, brought the doulas in, and showed them how to make teething rings. So we're doing a lot of that kind of stuff. I would say a part of this, one of the things that we support is the Call a Boundary Missing and Murdered Indigenous Women efforts. Just for your calendars and for your awareness, every May they do a walk. They need volunteers and just people to come and support. If you know anything about that movement, you're talking about 30,000 Indigenous women that are unaccounted for between here and Canada. And a lot of that goes to the jurisdiction gaps. For a long time, if a non-native male went onto a reservation and sexually abused, murdered, kidnapped, whatever, a native woman, because it was on tribal lands, they would not prosecute. So there's a huge jurisdiction in this, but you're talking about over 30,000 native women are unaccounted for. So that's part of this effort as well. And for us, culturally, this is an attempt to restore our matrilineal lifeways. Historically, we've always been a matrilineal society. Women were war chiefs. Women made the most important political decisions. Men really could not do anything without women approving it. Some people say we've lost that. I would, Cherokee women, I would say that's not the case. But maybe it looks a little different. And so through this work, we're trying to restore our matrilineal pathways. Language, art, and healing is one of our program areas. One of the things that we just recently completed, and I'll show another picture in a second. We just built the wood-fired kiln in the Birdtown community. And I think we're supposed to already have had a community gathering, but we're just procrastinating, I guess. But we would love to have some of y'all there when we do fire it and have a kickoff. If you know anything about Cherokee pottery, usually it's been for thousands of years fired in the ground. But in the early 20th century, we had some Catawba women in South Carolina come live up in Cherokee. And it kind of took our pottery in a different direction. And so most of the pottery that you see is really for the tourist trade. And so we really are thinking about that in terms of mental health and spiritual health, reclaiming what is Cherokee pottery, and also pushing the boundaries of what can Cherokee pottery be. And this was in collaboration with UNC Asheville. But we did a presentation at the National Ceramic Conference, and people were like, well, why are you presenting? And it's like, well, Native nonprofits have a role to play in all this work. Native populations receive less than 0.5% of all philanthropic dollars. Most people think that if they send money to the tribe, they're donating to the people. And I just would caution you all that no knock against tribal governments, but they're still governments. I mean, they're highly bureaucratic. Cherokee governments often reflect Western governments. I just would caution you on that, So I think Native nonprofits have a really strong role to play, and they're playing a big role out west. And so one of the things that we're able to do is work with community members on things the tribal government won't. And so this is a project, Asanashi no le Ado le Guashki, the skilled one and the learner. And it basically was a pottery apprentice program. And what they did is they came to us. I was at UNC Asheville at the time, and they wanted to learn how to do two things: how do they dig and process traditional clay? So if they see a clay vein in this landscape, how do we harvest it? Because our ancestors did for thousands of years ago. And then once we harvest it, how do we process it and make pots out of it? The other thing they wanted to do was learn how to do a wood-fired kiln. And so we partnered the UNC Asheville ceramics faculty and the Cherokee potters together. And for a year and a half, they just learned from each other. Cherokee potters taught the UNC Asheville ceramics faculty about the traditions. UNC Asheville ceramic faculty taught Cherokee potters about wood-fired kilns. We went and visited 5 different kiln sites. And then finally we got to where we built one in the community. This is Levi West. He's one of the younger potters. He's pretty remarkable, very, very talented. He runs the Cherokee Youth Leadership Program, but I think he spends most of his time doing pots now. I don't know how much he works actually. He just does pots. This was Tara at UNC Asheville demonstrating. A lot of Southeastern pottery is stamped. You take a paddle, and you shape it, and you put designs on it. So that's what Tara's doing here. This is actually a pot I made. Right, looks a little wonky. This is Matt West. He's one of the faculty members at UNC Asheville. He builds awesome wood-fired kilns. And so this is kind of the style of kiln that we ended up building. And this is the site that we're going to put it at. This is in the Birdtown community. This used to be the site of the Cherokee Challenge, which was trying to get kids into youth activities like ropes and different activities like that. We have an acre out there, and what we envision is a working Cherokee artist village. So in the next year or two, we're going to start a capital campaign on that, because truthfully, the tribe doesn't really support the artists in this way. They have the Paula Arts Co-op, which is the largest co-op, oldest co-op in the United States, native-based. But if a local artist wants to do something like this, there's no available funding for them. And so that's where we can step in. We can go get grants for them. We can give them micro grants. And so we're hoping that this turns into an artist village, because there's nothing like that. You got to think about Cherokee. There is not a person I know in Cherokee that does not bead, that does not carve, that does not sew, that does not paint, that does not do something. To me, I just think it's an artist community. It's just an artist community. I really don't know someone who doesn't do something. But people don't look at the community like that. And so there's not a lot of available resources for Cherokee artists. So that's a role we're trying to play. Yep. They started last February. It was freezing cold. Yep. And I will say we got really lucky. I don't know how many people know about East Fork pottery.
Yeah. East Fork pottery. East Fork. Yeah.
East Fork. A lot of people know about East Fork. I think now they're like one of the largest ceramic distributors in the country.
Okay.
And they reached out to us, and the hurricane was going on. They came out to Cherokee. They visited with the potters. In December of last year, they gave us 5% of their profits in December.
Wow.
And they did a raffle for us, and then they had donations. And it ended up being almost $250,000.
Wow.
One that speaks that much money. But how generous, you know? And so what we hope is that relationship continues too, because their potters can come out to Cherokee. There's a vision in Cherokee of creating a whole homeware, Cherokee plates and bowls and things like that. We'll see what comes of that, but this was an amazing partnership. It helped us finish the kiln and has given money for really kind of to start the vision of the artist community. They've been really, really amazing for us. And now this site is really a working site. So Tara has a spring class every year where she's teaching community members how to do pottery for the first time. So they're coming out to the site and also learning about wood fire technology. What we hope is that we'll have artists from all across Indian country come and do workshops. So we want to have outdoor classrooms. So we'll see. And again, how does this relate to health? It's about building a future where Cherokee babies are born hearing songs in their ancestral language, where pottery tells the story of a people who have been here for centuries, shaping the earth and being shaped by it. You know, to me, it's about land, it's about health, it's about mental health, spiritual health. For Cherokee people, we have a concept called tohi. So we have 7 directions: north, south, east, west, up, down, and so if I went to Lander and I said, "Oh, Shiguju," I basically am asking him, "How's it going? Are you good? Having a good day?" And he would say, hopefully, he'd say, "Oh, stop, I'm good." But if I asked Landon and I said, "Tohiju," I'm asking a very different question. I'm asking, are you fine? Like, are you in spiritual, mental, and physical good health? Are you in the right relationship with the 7 directions, which also includes all of our natural relatives? And Cherokee's view of sickness is if he were to answer gaze di tohi, I am not fine, means he would be out of balance. And being out of balance would invite sickness into his life. That's how traditionally Cherokees have viewed sickness. It's not necessarily something that just happens to you without your action in it. Does that make sense? So the question of Tohiju is a really different type of question than just are you good or are you fine? It's like, are you spiritually aligned in the world? Okay. So all of this work is about Tohiju. Weaving Indigenous pathways. This is the intergenerational transfer knowledge. Our big program has gone on since 2009. This is our longest running program, and it's basically to get Native kids into medical professions. So if we're having health disparities, one of the reasons why we have health disparities, I mean, there's only, I think, 1% of all medical professionals are Native. So we're trying to get Native medical professionals trained, then come back into the community to serve the community. You know, there are still people in Cherokee that do not trust hospitals, do not trust doctors. There was a guy named Snowbird, was part of a project I did in 2019. And he started having medical issues like in 2020. And they wanted to send him to a hospital and he just refused. And he ended up passing away. Because his belief was in Cherokee medicine, which was fine, but he also needed to go see the doctor. But because of the history of medical care for Native people, he just wouldn't do it. And he did not want to go get medical care and not see a Cherokee person talking back to him. It just didn't make sense. So that's our project that is called MedCat, Medical Careers and Technology Pathways. We do summer camps, we do learning activities all year long, most state universities. The other project we have, which you might have heard of, and man, I would love for y'all to come. It's in September of every year. It's Kawohi Days. Most people know it as Kleeman's Dome. But Kleeman's Dome just got renamed to Kawohi. And the national park shuts that site down for 2 straight days, for half days, to allow Cherokee school kids to come and learn about the site. And it's open to anyone. And so we do cultural activities, we have talkers, we do dances, we do songs, people teach them the history of that place. And Kleeman's Dome is probably one of our most important sites. The Bears had council houses there. So we believe at one point in time, we could speak to the animals and the animals could speak back to us. And so when their animals would get stressed or anxious, the bears would hold a council at Clingman's Dome. And Quohi means mulberry place. So the mulberry tree is medicinally very important to us. The other thing that happened at Clingman's Dome is that's where we received our name. And basically our instructions to go to Bryson's, but it's not Bryson City, and receive our first fire. So that is, I don't know, maybe some people would consider it the Vatican. Similar type of thing, you know? So Quohi's a really special place, and now we have 2 days, 2.5 days a year where we get to educate Cherokee kids on that place. A lot of Cherokee kids don't know this stuff. You know, they don't know this stuff. They watch cartoons and TV and they don't necessarily go to these places. So one of the things we're trying to do is get Cherokee people back to these places. It's important. The other thing that I would invite y'all to, man. I don't know if you've heard of it. On this last slide. September is a busy month. It also happened at the end of September at Western Carolina University. It's called Rooted in the Mountains Symposium. And it's been going on for about 10 years, maybe a little longer. Everyone's invited. And it basically is exploring knowledge systems between Appalachia and Indigenous. And this year, the entire symposium was about childbirth. And so it was amazing. We had Native people from all over the country come. We had people, a doula group from Silva. We had Sisters Caring for Sisters out of Asheville. And we just had 2 days of food and conversation around what does it mean to deliver babies, to have children. You know, so it'll happen again next September. Really great event. Please come. The other thing we're doing in this area is we're building the first ever Indigenous Youth Conservation Corps. There is not one in the southeastern United States. And so we're trying to build the first Indigenous Youth Conservation Corps. This is called Judaculla's Kids. Judaculla's Kids. So again, this is about getting Cherokee kids into Cherokee places and teaching them about plants and stewardship, making sure they understand why are these things important to protect? You know, in 2016, I was at Standing Rock. And we were on the front lines of that. And we were there during the dog attacks, if you remember the dog attacks. But the last day we went to the front lines, and all these people were standing in a circle, different Native people. And remember, Standing Rock was the largest mass gathering of Native nations since Custer. It's the 19th century. Yeah, crazy. Largest mass gathering. And everybody's in a circle. We're on the front lines. The bulldozers are across the street, helicopters in the air, and everyone's going around the circle and sharing why they're there. But nobody was from Standing Rock until this woman stepped into the middle. She was head to toe in camouflage. She was a single mom, had 2 kids at home, and she looked at all of us and she said, "You know, we thank y'all for being here. We appreciate y'all being here. We need you to be here, but y'all get to go home. I am from this place." And she said, "I'm not even from this place. I'm of this place. I'm from these rivers. I'm of these rocks. I'm of this soil." And that is a real difference. I am of a place and from a place. And so we want Cherokee kids to understand they are of these places. They're made of these places. It's in their DNA. Land and wellness. I like putting action shots of myself. I'm sorry. Our big project here, and again, I would, if you're interested in coming to one of our meetings, we created a group in collaboration with the Eastern Band's Natural Resources Department called Elohi Dinigatiyi, which is the Earth Keepers. It's a council of 7 elders. They're all fluent speakers, guiding us all in how do we navigate this landscape, which we refer to as Jalgi Uweti, old ancestral homelands. That's where we're at. And so Roger Smoker is on the left. He is the chair of the speakers group, all fluent speakers. Rosanna Bell, her grandmother was born in a cave in Tennessee.
Wow.
And this person right here is Mary Thompson. She's an exceptional artist. She's from Big Cove. She just got nominated for a huge national award. She's a part of it. She's the chair of this group. And so they're helping us work with the Forest Service, because the Forest Service owns a huge amounts of Cherokee land. And so we're trying to educate each other. What does it mean for the US Forest Service? What does it mean for the Appalachian Trail Conservancy? What does it mean for the Southern Highlands Conservancy? What does it mean for Mainspring? What does it mean for all these places to hold Cherokee land? Right? So we're trying to educate them, and they're educating us on the issues they're dealing with. And under this administration, not to get too political, but under this administration, there is real pressure on opening up indigenous lands to timber and mining and all these things. So we're trying to educate them, the Forest Service on this stuff. And so we're trying to get them to understand that there are protocols in place, and have been protocols in place for thousands of years on how to understand this landscape. And that is a hard business, especially now. It's really, really hard. But that's the work that we're engaged in there. And again, this is an activity that happened recently that you would be invited to. A lot of this is, native heavy, but non-natives are welcome to come too. And we are trying to relearn how to use fire on the landscape. So we have a garden space at one of our own ancestral sites. And last year I wanted to burn it. Because we have an infestation of Johnson grass. You know what Johnson grass is?
Yeah.
You got to outwork Johnson grass. It just will take over. So they said the best thing to do it is to burn it. Burn it, reinvest. And there's also increasingly more and more research that shows by burning the landscape, we're also helping with climate change and fires and stuff like that. But we have to remember how to do it. So our elders are educating us on what does it mean to burn the landscape. So we're also educating the BIA, the Bureau of Indian Affairs, the Forest Service, and anybody that works in the landscape. What does it mean to burn? How should we burn? When should we burn? What should we burn? All of these things, right? So we have like a 4-day workshop on that. And again, just to finish up, this is health rooted in place. Our territory was all the way from northern Alabama into Kentucky, South Carolina, North Carolina, East Tennessee. And so this is what we refer to as Jalagi Ayeli, which is Cherokee Nation, or I hear it mostly Jalagi Uweti, which is ancestral. Uweti is old, but not like old, old. It's like ancestral, like your ancestral old. And so we believe that this is the place that centers all that for us. You're all invited out here. I would love to, Pat, if you ever had a field trip and wanted to bring people over to Gadua, this is not far from Bryson City. You could drive there. It's open to the public. But this is our mother town. And our name in the language Cherokee has no meaning. Our real name is Ani Gadua Gi. And Tom Bell has said that Gadua is the conjugation of 2 words, Gada, which means soil or dirt, and Uha'i, which means that which is given by a third person. Ani is people and Gi is place. So when I say Ani Gadua Gi, what I'm saying is people of the dirt given by God. Cherokee was bastardization of a Spanish word. That was placed upon us. So Gadua is an actual place. They did archaeological scans, 15,000 years of continuous settlement. 15,000 years. So our mounds are still there. Our ceremonies are coming back to this place. And we've partnered with NC State and Blue Cross Blue Shield to have a garden there. So we always need volunteers. You're gonna come out and work in the garden. I'll try and start every day out in the garden thing, even if there's nothing to do. Has anybody been out there? Well, you're all invited. Pat will organize it. I would love to show you Gadua. To me, it's the center of the Cherokee spiritual world. And then we have now about 1.5 acres. And what we're trying to do with our garden space is we're calling it the Cherokee Mother's Garden. So that everything that we grow in that, from food to plants, to trees, is all for our pregnant moms, our new moms, and our doulas. So it's not just a garden, a you-pick garden like a lot of people have. And Cherokee's a food desert. We're not discounting that, but I mean, we want to teach Cherokee young moms about nutrition too. We're going to grow stuff for the babies. But yeah, this is about, it took 2 years to get this garden, just through tribal bureaucracy. Took another year or so to get us really going. But now we're cooking. We grew a bunch of stuff this year. We have 16 or 17 raised beds. We'll be planting the Three Sisters. We're also going to do something that Gudgy taught us to do, which is this spring, we're going to shape part of the garden in the likeness of a pregnant mom. And she showed us a Mohawk thing that they did, which is each part of the body has plants associated with it. So tobacco is supposed to go somewhere, corn is supposed to go where, all these things are supposed to go somewhere. So one of the things they do, which we're still talking about, is they have young boys come and build the body. And there's a discussion about that. Some people are like, that's hugely important for young boys to be a part of this process and learn about the importance of this. And the way I've been taught, even more recently about gardens for Cherokee people, as a male, I'm not even supposed to be planting anything.
Oh, wow.
I'm not supposed to plant and I'm not supposed to harvest. What I can do is I can build. You know, I can build beds, I can till, I can do all of these things, but I'm not supposed to. And so we had someone from Asheville donate a bunch of plants, which we would use for plant medicine. The women had to come out and tell me where to plant and tell me what to plant. And I couldn't even touch them, you know? And so we have those sort of cultural protocols in place, and we're bringing out kids and getting their hands in the ground. When I taught at UNC Asheville, the thing that blew my mind is at one point I was teaching 11 Cherokee kids in my class, and one day I just asked them, how many of you have been in a garden? One hand went up. That is a huge part. And if you look at the European journals, one of the things they kept commenting on is the well manicured gardens everywhere they looked. And that included the forests, who were forest farmers too. For one Cherokee kid to raise their hand and say they've been in a garden, that was hard to hear, you know? So part of what we're doing is trying to get kids in the garden. This was the bull nettle workshop. So this is Eddie Paul. Does a lot over there. And even though he's a Duke fan, doesn't come in the garden. I'm a Tar Heel on a Tar Heel side. Yeah, just some of the pictures from our garden. That's it. So, thanks for your attention. I mean, we're doing a lot. We're busy. But again, it's a total honor and privilege for me to work in this landscape. having been part of a family that was removed, to be back in this landscape, working in these places, and my daughter is raised here, knows these places. And, people have asked me, do you regret leaving UNC Asheville? And UNC Asheville was a beautiful time for me. But, I get to wake up every day and go to Gadua and work in the community, and that's, really an honor and a blessing. So, y'all support means so much to us. None of this would be happening without the support of our friends. It's just the truth. When I took over the center, we had $15,000 in the bank. That's what we had. This year, our budget was in six figures. We had no staff. Now we have 9 staff members. And it's just, it's a lot of hard work by a lot of people. It's also our friends that support us. So I just wanted to say thank you and glad to be here and, invite you out to come and check it out. So thank y'all. Did I answer any questions? Yes.
Yeah, I want to go back to your vision statement, which you didn't emphasize very much when we were back at the beginning of the talk, but there was something that caught my eye in the vision statement that I just loved. Envision a world where Indigenous communities thrive, grounded in culture, rich in tradition, alive with laughter. Laughter is a revolutionary, joy is a revolutionary act.
I appreciate you pointing that out. I never know. I don't want to just read text, so I'm always like, I don't know if people are interested in this. But for us, we did, we had a great facilitator of our strategic planning, which was the first time we'd ever done it in the center's history. Her name is Rowan White. Definitely look her up. Yeah. She's Mohawk. She started the Indigenous Seed Saving Network. She's just a powerhouse. And she did our strategic planning. And so this was we just said, everybody close your eyes, and all of our board members did it. What are the words that come out? And laughter was on every single person's thing. And if you've ever been in a Cherokee community, you gotta have thick skin. People ask me, like, what's my Cherokee name? I've gotten a lot of Cherokee names, and most of them are not really appropriate to even tell you all. But the most beautiful thing for me is to be in a room with elders, and all you're doing is hearing them speak the language and really laugh. And so laughter was a huge part of it, and I really appreciate you saying joy. I think when I was teaching about it, like our memory and our consciousness of Native people, and I'm including Native people in this, is so shaped by Hollywood and all of the media portrayals. And we're not allowed to be forward thinkers. We're not allowed to be futurists, and we're not allowed to just have human joy. And so that's what we tried to capture there. That's what we tried to capture. So I appreciate you.
It really spoke to me. Yes,
I appreciate that. Any other questions?
Yeah, I have it.
All right, Pat.
At some point back at the beginning, when we were first talking, you mentioned the STEM program, getting youth to go into those professions. Are you still involved in that?
That's through our MedCap program. I'll be honest though, it's a real challenge with that. The tribe has an expressed goal of getting more kids into STEM. And I look at it from a critical lens, right? Like all the push for AI technology. When my last semester at UNC Asheville, we took a second and asked all the kids to go to Google Chat or whatever, type in Native American. And what came up were headdresses and teepees and Pocahontas, because that's the foundation for AI. We're already, as Native people, already behind that. So how do we start interrupting that? I don't know, because once you have to talk back to it, man, that's a hard game to play, So the tribe has an express purpose, and we do too. But Cherokee kids are not always interested in that. You know, to be honest, I mean, they're playing football and basketball and someone playing stickball, you know, it's just they're modern kids and they have distractions, you know? So that's been a challenge. So that's why we have been trying to partner with some of the indigenous communities to try and recruit their kids, to try and keep that program alive. But it's a challenge. It's challenging. We did go to a climate change conference in Anchorage last year. And we got to hear this young woman speak. She's the first native, I don't want to say the first, maybe one of maybe two or three engineers that have ever graduated from Columbia. And man, her vision to go back to her community, because they're dealing with serious implications from climate change. And to use that degree to go back into her community was so powerful. Not that they're not Cherokee kids that are doing that. And again, Eastern Band. It's just been a challenge. You know, just been a challenge.
Will you be sending notification? You mentioned a lot of different events that were open to outsiders and or white people. And will you be sending notifications of those to Pat or to Mike Eddy so that we can be kept up with those?
I'll send to both.
Great.
I'll send to both, and then they can push them out. We finally have our stuff together where we have a calendar of events, and so I'll start pushing that out to y'all.
That's great.
And again, if y'all, Pat, I mean, if this group, I know it's a drive, but if this group ever wanted to come to Gadua, you know, to me, I can talk about all this stuff. And, I mean, Gadua is just a magical place. You know? So to stand in that in the center of that mound and talk about these things is just a very different experience. So, you know, if y'all ever organized and wanted to come, I'd be happy to collaborate. Yes.
So what are the best ways for us to support your organization if we wanted to?
I mean, I think support comes in I mean, sometimes we just need good prayers. You know, we need good thoughts. You know, I tell my staff all the time, I mean, this community work is hard work. I mean, community work is really hard work. I mean, Christina, who's doing the doula program, I mean, it's 24/7, you know, and also it's not like the community is a perfect slate, you know, it's got its own politics and people get upset or people get left out, you know, you're just always dealing with stuff. And so sometimes we just really need good thoughts. I mean, I think y'all are already doing it in terms of donations. I mean, obviously financial support to keep us going. What's happened with the federal grant system, I don't know if everybody's in the nonprofit, but with the federal grant cuts, the grant world overnight has gotten so unbelievably competitive. Because all of the federal grant people are now going to foundations. So we've gotten denial after denial this fall. And it's all the same response. We've been hit with a record number of applications. You know, like the Borough's Welcome Fund, which is a climate change fund, we're a great fit for it. They had 500 applications and they picked 3.
Yeah.
I mean, that is, I was at a Dogwood Help Trust meeting. And a guy from one of the nonprofits that supports the houseless population here was saying there's no more federal or state funding for temporary housing relief. And they were like, you know, Dogwood support that? Well, it's not an express purpose of Dogwood, so they're not going to support it. So the financial world is, I mean, it's going to be tricky for us going forward. So that's one thing. But also, we also just need volunteer, like the garden. You know, if you ever want to come just hang out in the garden, that'd be awesome. That'd be awesome.
I'm astounded listening to you. I just moved here about 6 weeks ago from Florida. I don't know any of this stuff. And listening to you talk about how you're trying to maintain and preserve your culture, how have you been kept down for over 100 years? I'm astounded that somebody tried to squash you out, white people like me, I guess, you know, for all this time, you haven't been allowed to prosper and maintain your own standards of living.
Well, and there's, I mean, Indian country is big, and so like different geographical places had different pressures. We're on the East Coast. A lot of tribes were annihilated. But for Cherokee people, we met the Spanish in the 1500s. You're talking about 500 years of sustained contact. Sustained contact. So the fact that I'm even in front of you having this conversation is a quasi miracle. I mean, I always try and tell my students, they like, when I was teaching in Seattle, they like the Predator movies and stuff like that, and I'm always like, man, we are these apocalyptic type films, we had that come to us. I mean, we've already gone through the apocalypse. I mean, we had 93% population loss due to disease. So the fact that we're able, in fact, there's only 145 speakers left. There's just the whole colonial history that goes along with that, and so.
What books can I read to catch up on?
Email me and I will send you some.
Okay.
There's a lot. Thank you.
I'd like to also remind everybody, we sent out the link to their website in the meeting email that went out on Friday. Go to that website. It is packed full of information and you can see visuals of a lot of these things. It's great.
Yeah, thank you for that.
Yeah.
That's a good question. Yeah, I could talk a long time about that. Where are you from, Florida?
Outside of Tampa.
I-
Safety Harbor, they have some Indian mounds there, the
Oh, yeah.
Takaka, I'm saying it wrong, but
No, that's fine.
yeah,
I graduated high school in Orlando.
okay.
I'm at the University of Florida. Actually, Brett Treadway, who's the first director of the RT car program, he's a Gator too. So I was like, I gotta have to hire him. I have to hire him. Somebody else on my staff, she's Eastern Band, she went to Florida State. So
So it's a little bit of an issue.
it's like that, it's not, well, we won yesterday, so like I expelled
But people shouldn't come with you cats.
No, that's right.
I have a couple of quick stories. When I was 13 and 14, I paddled with the YMCA into northern Quebec,
Yeah, cool.
and I came across these old abandoned cabins of Cree
Cool.
living, and they totally like captured my imagination. And when I was 16, I hitchhiked up into Dene.
Oh,
There is a tribe, Dene, who speak the same language as Navajo.
oh, cool.
They live thousands of miles apart. In those days, the people up there, the dog rib that I was with, had never heard of the Navajo.
Oh,
In fact, they were
wow.
only barely aware of Canada. They'd never heard of Pierre Elliott Trudeau, who was the prime minister.
Oh, yeah.
Most of them couldn't speak English.
Interesting.
So that's one. And here's a radically different, there's a company now called Intelligent Internet that has developed a computer AI program designed to run on 10-year-old computers.
Huh.
So they can be put into South America, Africa. But these computers, like as of 6 months ago, were scoring 48 on the medical benchmark. The average physician scores 16. So, and they are improving it every week. So this is a database of medical information
Huh.
that, it has transformative power, and it's designed, as I said, to run on old computers.
There's Ben Fry at UNC Asheville who came from Chapel Hill. I think I'm one of 4 Cherokee PhDs in the state. Ben came from Chapel Hill. He's an Eastern Band member, and he's a linguist. He actually, I think his PhD's in German. But he teaches Cherokee language at UNC Asheville. And German and whatever else. And I know that one of his big things is trying to develop basically a Cherokee version of AI around the language. Even so much of like, my understanding is even some sort of hologram based stuff to try and keep the language alive. And they're entering tons of stuff into I don't know. We're trying to leverage it, whatever technology we can.
In a difficult environment, one of the things that funders often ask for is measures of success. What are your benchmarks for you? Are you thinking 50 years ahead or 5 years ahead, that this is our vision for where we want to be? Are there measurables?
That's a really good question, and you're right about that. I think funders, I get a lot of questions about, well, how is this sustainable? What are your benchmarks for success, things like that, and I don't always know how to answer those, to be honest, because I feel like a lot of times funders are looking for data points. That is not necessarily how Cherokee people are thinking about it. So I think for some of my job is to really do this, is to try and tell a story. The guy who runs First Nations Development Institute, which is a really big funder, native funder, he's always saying they have to be a good fit for us too. And funders I have to sell them a story that they want to invest in. And so I don't always know how to answer what is our benchmark for success. I will tell you, we applied for Melinda Gates funding this past year. Minimum prize was $1 million. And it was childcare based. I thought we had a tremendous story to tell. I still think we have a tremendous story to tell. We made it past the first round. I was like, whoop, we got a chance. And they did a really interesting thing. All the people that made it to the second round, they turned into reviewers. So we were reviewing each other's applications, which is
That's a neat idea.
Learn a lot.
that's interesting. And they asked, what is your impact? And as soon as they asked that question, I knew that we were in trouble. Because when I was reviewing, I was seeing other people's we were going against Indian Health Services. Indian Health Services have been federally funded for 50 years, at least. And I was like, that's not our impact. Our impact is generational change. And how do I measure that? I don't know.
Yeah.
So it's a conversation we're constantly having. So I really appreciate that question. I just don't always know how to answer it. Yeah. I always answer it.
Thank you.
I'm sorry. I know I'm not really answering your question.
Yes, you are.
You answered it. And one of the things that I might have expected you to say is something about addiction or something about premature pregnancies or something about nutritional status or something about obesity. I mean, I was, as a health provider,
Yep.
I was wondering if with health in the title, you could possibly use some health metrics
Sure.
for measurements.
Well, and the tribe does a huge health study every few years. And so they list some of those things. So when I do an application, I always put some of those things in there. So, I mean, we do have some of those measures. I think for us right now, just, I don't know how to measure the impact of having a Cherokee doula deliver a Cherokee kid. And I know that we can do some of that, and I have to, obviously I need to do a better job of that, but I don't know how to measure all those things all the time.
My guess, after having delivered a lot of babies, would be that if a woman felt safe and held in her pregnancy, that they're probably, and fed in her pregnancy, you can measure a decrease in premature babies, a decrease
Sure.
in infant mortality, that they're really good, and an increase in maternal child bonding
For sure.
and family bonding.
I mean, really, we're trying to work with some people at UNC Asheville. I mean, that's where we have to leverage our friends. Like it's hard. Like, I mean, as executive director, I'm sure some of y'all know. I mean, you're fundraising, you're managing people, all these things. It's hard to create a research study to show these things. And so we're trying to reach out to programs to get that data.
Are you offering to help with the grant writing?
I don't think. I mean.
Thank y'all, thank y'all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I'll stick around.
Oh, but what I'm saying is that I think the questions help, which is resonating and then the people who know the community in the context. Like so much.
They'll take 72. They all have over there.
No, actually, you're right, we stacked it from the map. Great question. Jump in.